Thank you.
So welcome everybody to the Coaching Tools and Tips Meetup. If you have not already, if you can add your location to your name, it's really cool, at least to me, to be able to see where different people are joining us from all over the world. And as you can see from what we've got up already, multiple countries are represented, which is amazing that technology allows us to meet up with people all over the world and we get to learn together. So today's presenter is Paulo Diaz, and he is in London in the UK, and he's going to be talking to us about business value. And I'm excited to get Paulo in here. We've been working together for I'm going to say 2 to 3 years. I lose track after a
Yeah.
while. It's been 2 or 3 years. We've been doing some work together. We've been coaching together. He's been in some of our classes. I can honestly say that it's been amazing to watch the growth of Paulo in his coaching over the last few years as he's picked up this discipline and run with it and then mixed it into his work as an agile coach. So I'm really excited to hear this talk on business value. And Paulo, I'm going to hand it over to you. Feel free to let me know if you need anything. For everyone else, as you're joining, you're on mute. If you want to ask any questions, you can unmute yourself and speak, but otherwise, please stay on mute. That way we have less background noise. And feel free to use the chat box to chat and give comments, ask questions, and I'll monitor the chat box to make sure Paulo catches those questions. So, Paulo, over to you.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Sheree. Yeah, I think it's 2-3 years that we've been working together, learning with each other, and contributing to a better world, I suppose, through coaching and the agile world. So great to see so many faces here today. Really, I can see, yeah, actually many. If it is okay with you, if you don't mind, switch on your cameras because it just means that we are better connected. So if you can, please switch on. If you can't, then it's okay. Everyone is welcome to stop me at any time and ask questions. So we want to make this session as interactive as possible, especially because it's done remotely. And so it is also one of my goals to actually try a new tool that I've started using recently, which is Mentimeter. I actually purchased license, and I'm quite impressed with the stuff that can do actually. So I'm going to use it here so that all of you can actually see and you can use it in your own remote sessions. So the first thing I would like to say is, so I'm like Shuri already said, so I'm Paulo Diaz. I'm originally from Portugal, but I live in London. I still have a very strong Portuguese accent, so apologies for that. I'm an agile coach, so I've been doing agile coaching for around maybe 12, 13 years. So I started as a Scrum Master and then became an agile coach. And prior to that, I was a software engineer, so very much developer in many languages, and I still do a little bit of hands-on development here and there. So that's about me. I don't want to talk a lot about me. I'd like, the best would be for each one of you to introduce yourselves, but it would take too long. So if you don't mind, we'll skip to the next question, which actually is, what brings you here today? And I'm kind of looking for, if possible, 2 words maximum. So there is Mentimeter. You can use using that code. So you can do on your mobile or on your laptop or PC, www.menti.com, and the code is 538490. And the code is valid. It's the same code for the entire session. So there are about 5 or 6 times that I will ask you to vote or to type in your thoughts during the session. So I'm going to show what's coming up. So as you can see, it's a word growth. So it's just going to come curiosity twice, shared growth, knowledge acquiring, learning. It's pretty cool. Let's give it a little bit more time. 10 people have contributed. You can contribute it more than once if you want. Also, if you think about the title of the session, what comes to mind? What would you like to learn more about it? Okay, so we've got 22, and I think we've got how many? 24. So yeah, we are 24. So we've reached, everyone has done it. So thank you very much. Viewpoint, yeah, collaboration, business value, it keeps changing, so it's great. The next question is actually, since we're going to be here for the next 1 hour at least, what do we need from each other in this session? So a few examples, and this is kind of our alliance during this session. So what do we actually need from each other? So a few examples are, presence, perhaps keep away from distractions, support, respect, perhaps right to pass. I'm not actually, these are just examples, so I'm not suggesting any of this. So it's up to you as a group, as a team, to actually decide what would you like to have from yourselves, from each other, from us, yeah, from all of us together. So let's go to the next question. And it's ready to start. Authentic presence, nice. Focus, participation. Concentration and dedication, respect. Oh, nice. Those are 3 words, but it's well done. Open mind, open-mindedness, insights backed with experience, respect, share insights, collaborative consumption, value. Share ideas, sharing insights. Hmm. Safe space, that's a new one. Insights, yeah, that's already gone. Participation. Okay, so the point here is that it's all about all of you. Okay, so it's not only about me. We need to make this as interactive as possible so that we can actually learn with each other. So we're sharing experiences, we're sharing insights, we are agreeing that I'm guessing respect as well. So we respect other people's opinions. And also, I need all of us to actually contribute to this. It's a different type of learning experience. Okay, so don't just be quiet. Feel free to stop and give your own experience, your own client experience, if you will. And I think we've got a safe space. Do we? Do we all agree we've got a safe space? Yeah. So everyone gets to be right. Cool. Open mind. Yeah, I think we've got enough of this now. So yeah, so thank you everyone for participating. So let's go back to the thing. I've got 2 screens, so I need to. So let's go through the agenda. So we'll start by going through business agility as a concept, what we understand of business agility. We'll then go to business value, and within business value section, we'll talk about outputs versus outcomes versus impact. We're going into the improvement kata, originally from Toyota. We're going into a new way of writing hypothesis outcomes and key results, also known as OKRs. And then a little bit about pivoting from projects to products, through business outcomes as a common as a middle way, and then linking strategy to execution, which probably might be a new concept for some of us, um, and also talking about leading and lagging indicators. And then this should take about an hour at least, and then we can have a little bit of Q&A at the end. Uh, but you are always free to stop me and ask me questions whenever you want. Okay, so let's give this example. So we come across this company ABC, and they listed their priorities as these: improve ways of working with broader business, undertake more initiatives to closely match customers' expectations, change processes to better enable the broader business goals, and build a systematic approach to assessing and aligning risks with security. So these are 4 examples. There could be more. ABC could have a lot more. But what I'd like to do is actually, trying to understand what's odd about these priorities. Okay, and so we've got Menti with the next question. So I'm just going to start and then I'll go back to the 1 second. So I don't know if you need that. You may need to do this a screenshot to remember. So if you can do a screenshot on your PC, and then I will start showing what the results are on Mentimeter. Okay. Not smart. Well done. Yeah, very good point. Who said that? Would you like to? Does everyone know what smart is? Does anyone not want to talk about it? Unspecific, all different, vague. Yeah. Not OKRs. Yes. Starting, not finishing. Well done. Yeah. So I guess it's like without a deadline or without a timeline in mind, not ordered, absence of a clear vision. Yeah. Indicating lack of focus, nothing tangible. Bizarre. Yeah. Yeah, I think so as well. That was intention. What about working with employees? Yeah. So these are good, very, very good observations. So thanks for that. And I'm kind of thinking in this session, let's try to address all of these, and I think there to some extent, everything, all of these are going to be addressed anyway. And I particularly like this one. What about working with employees? Yeah. So what's the contribution of our employees towards those initiatives or those priorities? Okay. Thank you. Thank you for that. And now I'd like to introduce. Oh, sorry. Apologies. Actually, it's this. So does anyone have anyone heard about VUCA? What does VUCA actually mean? Anyone? Maybe you can contribute to chat. I can't see chat on chat. Let me see. Oh yeah, I can see. Okay, now I can see. So in the chat, can anyone say what VUCA? Volatile. Yeah, volatile. What else? V is for volatile. And what else? Uncertainty or uncertain, complex, ambiguity. Yeah, that's it. We got it all. Well done. So we've got volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. And so volatility in terms of accelerating speed of change, and because we've got unstable markets, as we all know, uncertainty because uncertain of outcomes, and someone said about smart. So the outcomes are frequently not smart enough. Long-term plans are of little use. So many times the strategy is scoped after a very long timeline, and CEOs change faster than you can actually deliver the strategy. And so when the CEO changes, the strategy also changes, and everything starts again without having actually nothing achieved. Complexity, yeah, obviously, and complexity in today's world increases to a lack of predictability. So more and more it's more difficult to predict what we can actually deliver and the value of it. And of course, ambiguity in terms of conflict of information and also in terms of unknowns. And so we think that business agility is ideal for a VUCA world. And so there is a sequence in this way of thinking. And actually, okay, so we've got another one, sorry. All these companies have got something in common. Um, what is it? Perhaps you can put in the chat as well. They couldn't adapt to change and fail. Yep, that's very much it. They couldn't be fast enough to adapt to change. And some of them actually refused to change. Polaroid, for example, or even Nokia with smartphones. They knew what they needed to do, but they just didn't believe it. Yeah. And Kodak with digital. Yeah, did not anticipate changing customer needs. And we've got a statement here from Jack Welch, which said enough passed away a couple of months ago, or 3 or 4 months ago, I think. Ex-CEO from General Electric, General Motors, GM. He used to say, if the rate of change on the outside exceeds the rate of change on the inside, then the end is near. And so sadly, that was the reason why most of these companies have actually disappeared from the indexes, from the S&Ps, and basically went bankrupt and disappeared and stopped trading. So what is business agility for you? Again, we've got another question on Menti. So if you don't mind going back to Menti. Let me, this is a bit slow, apologies. Don't know why it's not changing. Sorry, I think it crashed. Oh God. I think the animated GIF was so long that it crashed. Okay, let's see if it was now. Oh, I don't have it. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So what is business agility for you? You can put it in the chat. I don't know why that screen has disappeared. Yeah. So what's business agility to you? Okay. Responding to change quickly. Agile values across the business. Ability to adapt. Companies adapting to changing market needs quickly. You see how good this is, because all of you collectively already know so much about business agility, and all we're doing is actually bringing these concepts together in this group, and actually sharing our own knowledge with each other. So that's really good. Ability to respond to change by coming up with innovative solutions, being responsive to customer needs and market demands, creating face masks instead of uniforms. Okay, yeah, that's innovative. When it will be done? Yeah, good. When will it be done? Learning from our experiences, determining business priorities while putting customer at the heart of the business plan. Yeah. Okay, so we've got two um, definitions. The first one is actually from the Agile Business Consortium, and it says exactly what many people said. So respond rapidly and flexibly to customer demands, adapt and to lead change in a productive and cost-effective way without compromising quality, continuously be at a competitive advantage, adapt quickly to market changes internally and externally. So this is from the Agile Business Consortium. And we've got a second one, which is actually from the Business Agility Institute in US, and says the business agility is the speed and effectiveness with which an organization can learn, create insights, and respond to achieved desired outcomes for customers, colleagues, and the organization. So this is actually our, mine at least, preferred definition for business agility. Is quite concise and specific. Uh, and in the company I work for, put simply, it is about delivering better value sooner, safer, happier for our customers. And here, some KPIs or some metrics for each one of these BVSSH. So in terms of better, we want to actually measure improved quality of service delivery. In terms of value, we want to be able to write business outcomes that are aligned across the teams that are delivering it and across the business as well. So totally alignment, understanding, shared understanding, so that we can actually deliver what everyone wants. Sooner is about having the right metrics, the right time-bound metrics, such as throughput. What's the throughput? Are we increasing in our throughput? Are we improving in our flow efficiency? Are we reducing our lead time to deliver? So three metrics: flow efficiency, throughput, and lead time, and they're all actually related anyway. Happier is about how do we make our colleagues and our customers happier. Yeah, and we can measure this in a number of ways. We can do NPS surveys. We can ask teams, in our cadences, maybe in our sprints if we're doing Scrum, or in our Kanban's cadences, and finding out what is it that we're doing that needs to be done so that the teams are happier, the teams are more autonomous, or maybe perhaps um, doing better, having a better understanding of what the business is, of what the company actually wants from them. And are our customers better, happier with every release, with the things that we are releasing to them or not? And so that's about measuring happiness. And safer, finally, is actually related to with continuous compliance. In whether we like it or not, we still need to comply with regulations with everything we do, especially in the banks. uh, and how do we actually deliver stable systems with improved service quality and fewer outages? That's also related to safer. And this is is part of the work that Jonathan Smart has been delivering and started. So I've been working with John for a long time, since the Barclays days, so at least 5 years, 6 years at least. And we continue to work within Deloitte at the moment. Any questions so far? I think that's a good time to do the first check-in and find out if there is anything that you would like to ask. Nope, it's a very quiet audience. Uh, so I'll continue then. Okay, the next thing, uh, it's a slide from Henrik Nickberg, and it talks about maximizing value, not output. So, and here, the title I put for this slide is business value is actually expressed by outcomes and impact rather than outputs. And the picture tells us many things, and I'd like to kind of get your opinion of what is it that you see in a picture, first of all. Okay, so we've got two slices, right? So the first one, the top one, and the bottom one. What are the differences that you see? Please put it on the chat. Or feel free to verbally say something as well. Quantity at the bottom, quality. So top quantity, bottom quality. Yeah, absolutely. Creating the right product. Yeah. Less on the bottom, but higher value. Yeah, the art of delivering less, right? Less on the bottom, but higher value. How do we know the value? Well, because the picture kind of indicates it's gold, and this looks like it's all like, I don't know, metal or whatever, any non-valuable stones, right? So this guy is actually um, gathering stones, and this guy is gathering gold. He's actually selecting ability to distinguish the gold from everything else. So what is gold? What does gold actually mean in this context? Business value, outcomes. Yes. Yeah, value. Yeah, gold is value. So this color is actually value, is actually shining, right? And someone mentioned happiness, happier workforce. Why do you say happier workforce? That's Rabia Kanatun. Why happier? I'm very curious.
Well, I might be wrong, but they're smiling and
Yeah.
look much happier, and I want that in my team.
No, no, you're not wrong. You are absolutely right. In fact, I've run this, I don't know, about 25 times at least now, and you're the first person to actually noticing that. This guy here is actually smiling, and he's happier. He's happier because he's delivering better value. Yeah, he's picking up from everything that's available. What's the highest value items, and he's picking up and he's putting in a truck. While this guy's, oh, it's the same thing. All of them are the same. I just need to finish this. There's an urgency of just finishing, just like feature factory, if you will. Yeah. So that's here the kind of metric that comes to mind is actually, are we trying to deliver features that don't actually matter? Because that's what I see many times in our clients. They don't actually care about the value of the features. They just want to report, oh, we delivered 30 features in this sprint or 30 features in this release. But what is it exactly that you deliver? And we've come across lots of people actually reporting on number of features that they deliver rather than the value that they've actually delivered. Yeah. So you could perhaps deliver 5 features instead of 25, but those 5 features could deliver a lot more value than 25. So it is this concept of busyness. People are busy doing stuff without actually knowing what the value of that stuff is. And it's very much related to our, agile principles, which says, try to understand what's the value, maximize the value, the art of doing less, but with a higher value. And we hear this from many, many authors in Agile that talk exactly about that. So maximize value, not output. So that's a great example from Henrik. I really like Henrik's cartoons or drawings. Really, really very good. So as you know, Henrik used to work for Spotify, uh, and supposedly is known also by the Spotify model, which I believe did not actually exist, but it became history. So next one, there is a very, very, very good video from Jeff Patton, and the link is here. So I really, we're not going to play here now because it's about 10 minutes, but it's excellent, and you would be spending very good 10 minutes by watching it. So this is just a summary, and actually it's the final of the video anyway. So what Jeff says is that most of the times, everyone, all companies, especially startups, have got tons and tons of ideas. Most likely, always too many ideas, and most of them suck. There's a stat about startups that when they start, they're all very excited in delivering their stuff, their scope, their ideas. Um, but only about 2 to 4% of startups actually succeed at the end of 1 year. So most of them actually fail. And the reason is because they are focusing on delivering too much outputs. Yeah, so all these ideas um, that come up, they are not tested. They're not actually, uh, you know, they're not actually checked against the impact that they bring to the business. or the outcomes, what is the outcome and the impact that they bring to the business. And they're just ideas because someone, usually developers, think that it's a good idea to deliver this. And so they get on it and deliver it without actually knowing if anyone from the business is actually going to use it at some point. And so those features are all created, and many times too many. No one actually understands what the value is. There was no study to actually understand, if we deliver this, what would be uh, the number of users or the impact on the company. Market share, for example, will the market share increase as a result of delivering this feature or not? And so what Jeff is saying is that this is the problem with most companies. They want to change the world, but they've got too many ideas. Most of them suck. We can't actually tell which ones are good and which ones are not. And therefore, everything ends up being done. And those are actually the outputs, because we don't actually know. Sometimes outputs can also be outcomes, but most of them are not. And most of them do not contribute, so do not necessarily contribute to an outcome. And so what is an outcome then? Well, the outcome is the result of something that we do that actually delivers an immediate behavior change or a satisfaction grade. So imagine you're working on a feature for, say, 3 months, um, and at the end of the 3 months, the feature gets released, and you can immediately see something. And to that, it is a satisfaction. So it meets the acceptance criteria. So we see something happening, but we can't actually see the long-term benefit of delivering that feature. So what we see is something that proves that the feature is working. It could be, for example, a change of behavior in our clients, or could be like the fact they are now checking that this feature exists and they are actually testing it, they are using. So we know that they are using, and we know that it's deriving some benefit. But we may not know what's the return on investment, because it may take longer than 3 months. It may take maybe 6 months, or it may take 1 year to actually start returning on investment to a rate that we can say, oh, wow, we've actually achieved our 30% return on investment, or 30% increase of market share in this product, or a brand awareness of an improved brand awareness of, say, 10% or so. So that is the impact. That's the measure of success over a period of time. And the outcome, according to Jeff, is actually what you get at the end of the delivery rate, of the release. Basically, when you release, when you put something live, you enable the feature, switch on the feature, and you can see a change. And that's what the leading figure is. So leading indicator and lagging indicator. So Jeff calls lagging indicators impact and leading indicators as outcome. Generically, when I work on this, I just call outcome as opposed to output. And I say, well, if it is a leading indicator, is something that you get straight away when you release that outcome, and the lagging indicator is what you expect to see over a period of time, say 6 months, maybe 1 year. And what Jeff is saying is that the companies, the success, usually what they're trying to do is actually minimize the outputs and actually maximize the outcomes and the impact. So when you maximize the outcome and impact, you've got a long-lasting effect that will make your company, last longer. So we want to build less outputs, and we want to build more, the features that matter, the features that result in higher outcomes and higher impact. And we want to perhaps stop talking about goals or objectives, because they don't explain what is it that we're trying to achieve for the future of the company. Okay. So any questions about this? As I said, don't forget to watch this video. It's really very, very powerful. And it gives a very good explanation of the difference between outputs and outcomes. So I stop a little bit now to just check if there is any questions. Feel free to put on the chat as well. So
Paulo,
absolutely.
we had one question.
Yep.
I was just waiting kind of for a break. And it was, do you have any examples of effective business agility in large companies?
Yes. So yeah, I think we're going to see some. Can't reveal. Well, I can show the process. I can't actually reveal what the client strategic theme is or strategic objective, because most of the strategy is confidential, is internal to the company, and the employees need to know and need to understand what the strategy is in order to deliver against the strategy. But what I'm going to show is actually how to link the strategy to the execution. So how to link the strategy that the CEO and the leadership team is working on, and how does that get delivered by the development teams.
Yeah. Thank
Can we
you.
go to
There's also Rick put in a great example too in the chat for those of you who didn't see it. Every
yeah,
company that had to pivot with COVID-19, people who are making respirators instead of lawnmowers, people who are making face masks instead
yeah,
of t-shirts. All there's a local company by me who is a chemical company for some kind of paint, and now they're making hand sanitizer instead.
yeah. And in my current client, actually, what happened is they put everything on hold. So they were delivering the strategy, and they're working on business outcomes quarterly. So every quarter, 3 months business outcomes, and they had to put everything on hold because their factory just basically closed and they couldn't sell anything. And instead, they had to work on something that the brands were asking. So this is a group of different companies, different brands, and the brands were asking for things that took priority over COVID-19. So that was the change, and they could do that because they were working on business outcomes that are quarterly. So they put quarterly business outcomes on hold, and they replaced them by new business outcomes that needed to be delivered in order to in order to work with COVID-19 impact.
Awesome.
So
And
thanks.
if this is the right time, if not, we can put this question on hold. What's the best way to introduce business agility in a small company that doesn't know much about agility?
What's the best way to introduce business agility to a small company? Okay, it's actually asking what what would you need in order to delivering faster and becoming more adaptable to fast changing requirements. Would that be a good question? So in terms of business agility, and maybe we can just verify that. So business agility is the speed of effectiveness with which an organization can learn, create insights, and respond to achieve desired outcomes for customers, colleagues, and the organization. Is the small company, as Sandra asks, is a small company actually delivering um, products? Okay, and are those products successful in meeting customers' expectations? Or yes, okay. So maybe they don't need, they are already using business agility. Because what we see, what business agility tries to respond, it's this very fast market changing conditions that will actually stop you from delivering what the customers want. So let me give you an example. So if your release schedule, say and this is true. So there are some companies that are still delivering every 6 months. Yeah, they don't have shorter release schedules. So they only have one release every 6 months because they think that, oh no, we can't impact the business too much. We need to have long UAT and so on and so forth. But you all know, because I'm sure you all have that experience. And so what typically happens when you release every 6 months is that things change faster than what you can actually put out there live in production, and therefore you are not you are not following what Jack Welch saying here. So if the rate of change on the outside exceeds the rate of change in the inside, the end of the near. Yeah, the end is near. So okay, Sandra. So thanks for that. We've got another question. How can you incorporate business agility in an organization that is established and you are a new unit? Well, if you are a new unit, then perhaps it's probably easier because you don't have the bad habits that other units have, and you are probably able to change faster. So incorporate business agility. It's similar to Sandra's question, but I'm referring to change management. Yeah, carry on, San. Yeah, Rabi.
I probably am not articulate on paper. What I meant to say was, so you're right, it's a completely new unit, so you can implement everything. So thank you. So, but it's an existing organisation over 100 years old, so they
Yeah.
have some of the participants in the new unit will be from the old unit. So we've done it this way always. So how would you? And plus, you're changing. What you're doing is in, for example, in my unit, we've reduced the workforce and we've changed the processes. So
Yeah.
is there any way to make it look more, well, agility is more positive, but any
Yeah.
way to look at that? That's what I meant by it.
Let me ask a question. Are they delivering projects?
Yes, part of it is they're delivering projects and they're also delivering outcomes. And it's actually, what I'm talking about is it's a unit that works with the court system and everything else. So it kind of, yeah, we're delivering projects, but separate projects divisionally. So what would have been done locally, for example, is now divisional. So it's a whole unit.
Okay. Are they able to change at the rate they want? Or are they
Yes,
able to, they are.
yes, yes, yes.
Okay, so in that case, maybe they are already using business agility because, the question is really fast. It's really easy, really. If you're able to change faster than the requirements, demand, or faster than the external world, then you're okay. The problem is when you're not. The problem is that when your structure does not allow you to change fast enough, and and then you enter into a backlog of change. So, for example, many companies still have projects that take 12 months to be delivered, like as a big bang approach, right? So big bang delivery after 12 months. And we're going to go into that one example, like such, exactly like that. So I'll just carry on then. Is there another one? Yogesh, so what's the best way to introduce business agility for a team who is building a system for its internal teams in the organization? The team does not know who their customers are and creating their own requirements for the system. Okay, one second. So one question at a time. So of course, business agility has got many things involved, right? So it talks about organizational target operating model within the company. It talks about pivoting from projects to products or business outcomes. It talks about metrics such as flow, flow efficiency, and better ways of working. So it's a kind of a combination of factors that organizations need to understand and actually prioritize on how to actually make this move and become more agile in terms of business agility. So with this detail, I'm not sure, Yogesh, do you want to ask the question and clarify a little bit more?
Yes. So this is from a project that I was associated with, and I just wanted to put that reference of business agility to that
Yep.
work. So we were building a system internally within an organization, and we did not know who our target customers were going to be. So we were generating our own requirements, ensuring that we would be able to show something for some customers, probably as a show and tell. And then once they identify what we are doing, they would start giving us the requirements, is what our thought process was. But like we were 1 year into that work, but we hadn't had a single customer yet. So how could we introduce business agility within that 1 year time span and ensure that we would be able to reach the customers even faster, so that we could get some feedback and hopefully requirements from target customers who would
Okay, so
eventually be using
your
the system.
your product owner is a representative of your customers, right?
Uh,
So
yeah, but he was
so
not associated with any customer per se. It was just brainstorming and generating ideas from his own head and possibly with the VP.
well, then I'll say that is the problem. That is basically the problem. And yeah, so that's like a typical example. I know it happens a lot of times. We don't actually know. And correct me if I'm wrong, but is this organization like kind of a startup?
No, it's quite a multi-billion-dollar company.
Okay, but how does he know what's important for for the business?
So it's like a pilot that they wanted to introduce, just show something as a data to multiple customers, and
Okay.
would once the customers see it, then they would get an idea. Oh, okay, this is what your team is providing the data to us. Now we would want to customize it and give you more requirements. So that was the overall picture.
Yeah, that's a difficult one because he's trying to get something out of the shelf for everyone, rather
Yeah.
than actually, yeah. So, but I feel that he must be a subject matter expert himself, or maybe is he a business person?
Yeah, he's both a business person and an enterprise architect acting as a product owner.
Okay, so then that means that he's got a very good insight of what the customers really want, regardless of the fact that if he's talked to them or not. Maybe he's an ex-customer, maybe he's someone with an insight of what the market really wants,
True.
and it's not there yet, right? So that's
Yes.
what's driving him. So why would you say that there is no business agility?
Well, because we wanted to ship some features faster. We wanted to get a feedback from some of them who would potentially become our customers, but that was not happening. We were just building features after features every iteration, and it took at least a year. And now we have got one identified customer who is interested in the system.
Okay, and so
Hey,
now you are able to proceed with that customer.
Yes, we are.
all right. So I want to
Okay.
just jump in real quick. Happy to have discussion, happy to have questions, but let's keep it general because when we get into specific
I know.
situations,
Yeah.
everybody else is like just waiting for the conversation to be over. So please feel free to ping Paulo individually on LinkedIn and he can give some answers to your specific situations. For this session, let's keep questions kind of general so that everyone gets benefit.
Yep, let's carry on then. So again, I'll just continue with difference between outputs and business outcomes. And we noticed that most organizations are making decisions related to outputs. And therefore, those decisions may not be directly related to the quality or the impact of their services. It's just to remind the difference. So an output is created at the end of a process. And we're looking into examples such as, number of shoes sold in a shoe shop, or training classes delivered by a training facility, or even meals served in the restaurant. Those are type of outputs that we often see. Uh, a business outcome, on the other side, it actually quantifies the level of performance or achievement that occurred as a result of an activity. And so here we're talking about an increase of awareness of some sort. So in this case, 30%. Or a retention of an increase of customer retention by 25%, or increase of market share by 30%. So it needs to be very specific and needs to be measurable as well. So someone said smart, and that's exactly what it is. So when we're talking about a business outcome, it needs to be very specific, measurable, achievable. Um, and a business outcome that we recommend is actually a quarterly business outcome. So we're looking into 3 months or less than 3 months. Yeah. So 3 months or less. And in 3 months or less, we may not achieve this. We may not achieve an increase awareness of our product by 30% because that is actually a lagging indicator. That's the impact. That's what Jeff Patton is saying. You may start seeing this only after 6 or 7 months or 1 year. You don't get that straight away, but you need to start somewhere, and you start by delivering something at the end of 3 months, and then you learn from that. After 6 months, or after 3 months, you may not get 30%. You may just get like, okay, maybe 5%, and then after 6 months, you may get another 10% as more and more customers are using that business outcome. and so on and so forth. And you learn with it. So there is a curve of increase in order to meet the business of the lagging indicator. The next slide talks about the difference, so process of writing a business outcome. And here what we say is that, and we always recommend an hypothesis, because a business outcome is exactly that, is an hypothesis. You don't know, it's kind of a bet. You don't know if you're going to achieve that or not until you work enough, you deliver, you put in production, and you start getting feedback from your customers. And and that's when you realize, oh yeah, okay, so customers are using. It might be that because it is an hypothesis, it might be that it actually does not work or did not work, and it did not contribute enough to your initiatives or to your higher level outcomes in a portfolio of outcomes. And so what we have here is actually a process where usually we know what the benefits are, we know what we want to achieve, and we know what we want to deliver. So that we've got the what, which is a capability. We know why, and we know how, how we're going to get there, and what we need to test in order to deliver, in order to know that we've delivered the outcome. Okay, so a possible template from this source here is, we believe that delivering this capability, whatever that capability is, and we're going to see an example, for a persona will result in an outcome. And we'll know we're successful when a number of key results, so it's not 3, it might be just 1, it might be 2. In fact, it's good to start just with a few to test the hypothesis. A lot of our clients actually put lots of key results, and then they don't end up succeeding on them because they just put too much. And so what we want to do is actually write the outcome in this format, so that we can actually have a conversation with our customers and with our developers to make sure that there is alignment and a shared understanding, and everyone is on the same page. It's interesting because it needs to be a conversation. You can't just write a business outcome and expect everyone to understand it. And I've seen business outcomes written where 2 or 3 stakeholders have a different interpretation of what that business outcome actually means. Okay, so it's really important to have that conversation. As an example here on the right, we've got the new bank account creation, and a persona has been identified. That persona is young CEOs of startups. And the capability, or whatever we have to do, has been identified as well. In this case, is the launching of a new bank account. Yeah, so we believe that launching the new bank account, this is what we need to deliver for this persona, young CEOs of startups, will result in this outcome. What is the outcome? Well, an increase of market share for SBM, which is small business small business managers. Yeah. Small business managers, and we'll know we're successful when small business membership increases by 25%. So very clear, specific lagging indicator, and NPS for 50% of small business members increases from 8 to 9. So this is a very clear, specific measure of success. And when we achieve these two, we know that that business outcome is successful. So in this example, we put lagging indicators, not leading indicators. What could be an example of a leading indicator for this? So a leading indicator is something that you start noticing immediately, as soon as you deliver, as soon as you put in live. So, and as I said, you might not get a membership increase by 25% immediately, right? So it might take a couple of months, 2, 3, 4, 5 months, I don't know, depending on the marketing campaign. And the NPS takes time to improve as well. So what could be a leading indicator? And this is something that you can put on the chat. Number of accounts. So Francis said, thanks Francis. So number of accounts activates, yeah, active. So what we're seeing here, what Francis I think is trying to say is that the moment we put in live, if we start seeing an increase of accounts, so we know that is possible, then we know that the customers are starting to use this. And that's a leading indicator. It's just to prove that, yeah, we are on the right path. It's actually working, you know. And we just need to have a little bit more time to actually see. Website hits is another one. Yeah, website hits as a leading indicator. So it's just to prove that the application is actually working. People are actually using it, and we've seen an increase of hits. So those are the leading indicators. We immediately notice the moment we put in production, we immediately notice that. So why are they there, and why do we need leading, and why do we need lagging? Why can't we just use lagging? Well, because if you only have lagging indicators, we don't actually know if the application is working or not. So the application is deployed. We need to test what's, are our customers actually using it or not? Are they having good feedback about it? And that can be tested on the first day, yeah. And after some time, we are going to see results, contributions to our lagging indicators, which probably are at a higher level of your portfolio. So let's carry on. I've got an exercise here. Well, we can't actually do the exercise because this is a virtual meeting, but I'd like to show you the difference between outputs and outcomes. And this is based on Van Gogh's Cows in the Meadow painting. It's a famous painting from Van Gogh, painted in 1883. And it consists of this. So we divide the class into two groups, and we give them 5 minutes to complete activity. Okay, so in the first group, the brief says, draw a beautiful summer meadow with blue and red flowers in green grass, some cows and birds under a shining sun. In the group 2, we say, draw a beautiful summer meadow with, so up to here is common, right? Here is very, specified what exactly you want. So 10 blue flowers with 5 petals each, 5 blue flowers with 6 petals each, and so on and so forth. So you've got a list of things that a team needs to deliver. Here, you don't have a list of things that a team needs to deliver. You just have a definition of what the expectation is, what the expected result is. Any questions about this? So we're not actually going to do it. I just want to run through some of the results that we get all the time. Okay, so this is a great exercise for you to do in class. And as I said, so divide the group into 2 teams or 2 groups, and to one group you give the left brief, and to the other group you give the right brief. And you don't tell them the differences between the briefs, so they don't know what the other team is doing. Okay, so when we do this, we typically have these 2 groups. So I've kind of concealed the faces here, so I don't want to see. This is one of our clients, and as you can see, this is group 1 and this is group 2. And I'd like to ask, by just observe what they're doing. What are they focusing on? So what is this group? First of all, the group on the left. What is the group on the left focusing on? And we know that someone is focusing on outputs and someone is focusing on outcomes. Okay, so what's the group on the left focusing on? You can share on the chat. Outcomes. Okay. Anyone else? So this is the left group. Yeah. Crossing checklist. Yeah, very good observation. What does crossing a checklist suggest? Getting the job done, yes. What does that suggest? So there is a checklist, yeah? Crossing the checklist. And the other thing that you can see as well is that daily outputs, yes. And as you can see, 2 or 3, 3 people are working on the same thing. So this guy is crossing the checklist, as someone said. This one is actually drawing a cow, and she's doing something else. Yeah. So the team is working. They are all multitasking, and it appears that they are working on different things. They might be talking, but they are multitasking, and they're working on different things. What is the group on the right doing differently? Discussing, yes, very well. What else? So they're talking a lot more, doing less, collaborating, yeah, collaborating together, researching, yes. Yeah, and so what we see here is that there is no list to cross, right? Negotiating the outputs, being particular, seem more focused. So the team on the right seems more focused. Yeah, I would definitely agree. They are listening. Yeah. So basically, they're talking to each other to understand what does a beautiful summer meadow with blue and red flowers and green grass, some cows and birds under the sun, in the shining sun actually means. Only one person has a pen in her hand, says Adalbert. Yeah, and absolutely correct. So only one person. So there is a conversation. There is a shared understanding. There is alignment. They're planning on the right and they are doing on the left. But what are they doing on the left? They're crossing stuff. They are they're writing stuff, but each one they're working in silos basically. Yeah, if these people are collaborating, these guys here are working on silos. And let's carry on. So okay, so we've seen the distinction. I'm not sure yet. I don't think you may not know what is outputs and what is outcomes. You may have an indication, but let's have a look at this. So again, we've got left and right. What do you see on the left that is different from what you see on the right? Yeah, they're doing exactly, the picture on the left are doing exactly what the customer asked for. The problem I've got with that is that, it doesn't really make much sense. Look at the picture on the left. The picture on the left, okay, it's not an art, I can't say it's a piece of art, but at least you can see it's a summer meadow. You can see some cows, you can see some flowers. It's artistically done. Remember, this is a 5 minutes job, yeah? But there is something you get out of it, yeah? It might not be extremely good quality, but you kind of understand what it is. But on here, they stuck to the exercise and they delivered exactly what the exercise said, box by box, yeah? So they tick the boxes, uh, 7 or 8 or 9 or whatever, blue flowers, 2 cows in red cows, 5 green cows or whatever. Even the sun is green. It didn't say that the sun is green, but actually they made the sun green. So basically they're sticking to outputs. This is ticking box exercise. This is a more collaborative team effort. And if you think that this only happens once, you're mistaken, because we've done this many times and it's the same every single one of them. Yeah. So this is the group focusing on outcome. This is the group focusing on outputs. Perhaps with rare exceptions. So I could see that this is kind of it perhaps is a little bit better. It's almost like an outcome, but it's not yet. It just ended up being good. This is probably the best of the output. But as you can see here, it's not coordinated. It just doesn't make any sense. In some cases, although I don't think I've got here, sometimes you see cows upside down because they are in a rounded table and everyone is doing cows, and some of the cows are upside down, which typical. They're just delivering what they've been asked for, but it's not acceptable from a customer point of view because it's based on our output. It's a hashtag. It's like a hashtag number of cows. And it really does not align as the pictures on the left, which are more focusing on outcomes. So did anyone try this before? Has anyone seen this before? So it's a very interesting exercise to do for anyone who wants to do, who wants to actually introduce business agility and the difference between outputs and outcomes. Yeah. So um, if you don't think it will work because it will work for every single time that I've done it. And if you need to get, well, like this is being recorded anyway, so you can get it from a recording. So change is messy, but it's even thought of if people are not focused on the same outcome. So being focused, having that collaboration, having that alignment, that shared understanding, and that conversation about what a good outcome is really, really important. Okay, so this is the ones, those that are based on outcomes. Now we're going to talk about improvement kata, and the improvement kata comes originally from Toyota, and it talks about, you know, in order for you to move from A to B, first of all, you need to understand where you want to go. Yeah. So what's your North Star? And then understand where you are and where you want to be. And when you go from step 2 to step 3, there are a number of things that you can do. And we call them experiments. Some will work, some will fail. And that's why we like them written as hypotheses. Okay. So this gray area, there will be, you know, many things that we don't know. We don't know if they work or not. We're going to run some experiments to see if we can move from the current condition into the target condition. And we keep doing this every single time. And that's why breaking down the large projects in smaller outcomes, smaller things that we can deliver frequently with a shared understanding of what that outcome is really important. So here is an example of a template for writing business outcomes if you want to know. So as always, working backwards, we always start off with our who benefits and how. So who is our customer? What do they need? And then we define some of our leading indicators. So as someone said, you know, when we deliver, what is the expectation? When we deliver, when we put this in live on the first day or maybe in the first 2 days, what do we expect to see? In this case is 5K visits on the microsite immediately. So, you know, there will be website hits, 1K downloads of the app. So these are all examples. 100 online applications for some new application that was made available. 90% right first time, takes less than 5 minutes. You know, those are all examples of what a leading indicator is. Yeah. And in terms of outcome hypothesis, the format that we recommend starts like this. So due to an insight, and this insight could have been like something that we've read, something that we've learned with our customers, something that we've experienced ourselves, whatever that insight is, it makes us believe that there is something that we need to do. This is the bet or the activity that we need to deliver, which will result in an outcome. And when we deliver that, we will know we're successful when we get a number of key results. Yeah. And those key results, some of them will be leading, some of them will be lagging. So what could be some of the lagging indicators? Here are some examples. So improve NPS from 6 to 8. Again, it takes time. That's why they're lagging. They're impact metrics. Enable 2% more first-time home buyers to own property. Again, you can't get this overnight, right? So it takes time. Increase market share from 55% to 65%. Increase diversity. Increase flow efficiency by 5%. Decrease customer complaints by 8%. So what are you seeing here that is really difficult to forecast? What we're seeing is the specific measures. You know, it says 5%, 5% says 8%, 55 to 65. So we're being very specific about something. And that's why it's important to actually know what the lagging indicators are. You don't have the deadline, and I'll explain why. I'll explain why the deadline is not here. So we're only interested in the outcome for now, but I'll explain about the deadline. leading indicators, so the difference between leading and lagging. The leading indicators are forwards facing, and the lagging indicators are backward facing. So backwards facing is when you look into the end of the year, for example, what is it that you want to achieve? So this is what the stuff that comes on your mirror and on your backwards mirror, on your back, it's backwards facing. So from the destination, what are your expectations? So it's an indicator of past performance that measures how well the leading actions are performing. So if you have a number of business outcomes contributing to a one-year initiative, and you know what you need to achieve in that one-year initiative, so the lagging indicators are very well defined there. Each one of the business outcomes needs to contribute to that, and you've got a learning factor. So in terms of leading indicators, we're trying to answer the question, are we there yet? So when we put something in live, in production, we need to have something to test that feature has been deployed successfully and our customers are actually using. Those are the leading indicators. And that helps you to also plan for future. So the intent of a leading indicator is try to predict the future. Predict also the outcomes that might happen. While the intent of a lagging indicator is to look back to check if the result was achieved or not. So it takes time to achieve a lagging indicator. So here is an example. And here we've got an initiative. It's an outcome, but it's an initiative is larger than an outcome. It's larger than a business outcome, which is quarterly. So imagine you have a number of business outcomes which are up to 3 months and one initiative that is 12 months. Many business outcomes are contributing to this initiative. So it's not a one-to-one mapping. It's a many-to-one mapping, okay? Remember, business outcomes is a hypothesis, so we are not always going to succeed. Some of those bets are going to be wrong, and you're going to learn, and you're going to rectify and adjust the lagging indicator as well. So due to a customer survey revealing that 90% of our customers prefer to submit finance applications online, as opposed to financial applications via telephone conversations. So this is the insight, yeah? The insight says that 90% of our customers prefer to submit finance applications online. There is more to that insight. One of the reasons is they don't want to get someone to tell them that they don't have a good credit history, and they prefer to talk to a machine than to actually talk to a person. So they prefer to submit online applications than actually talk to someone on the phone. Yeah. So that's the insight. So we believe that creating an online web platform to enable customers to receive a quote, and the platform is available 24/7, 365 days a year, will result in an increase of leads and an increase of sales. And we'll know we are successful when we have increased lead generation by 30%. We have increased sales of insurance packages by 15%. We've increased profit by 5%. We have saved 100K in resource costs. So this is the initiative. All of these are lagging indicators. That's where the lagging indicators live in this initiative, which is a one-year outcome. Okay. So now we've got a business outcome, which is 3 months. And it says, due to customer surveys revealing that 90% of our customers prefer to submit finance applications online. So it's the same as the initiative. We believe that creating a basic functionality, that's the MVP, minimum viable product, where users can input all personal details, select a price range for the vehicle they want to reach to purchase, and add duration of repayment plan, will result in an increase of leads, which will result in an increase of insurance package sales. And we know we're successful when we achieve an increase in website visits per month by 20%. And this can be measured within the first month. We reduce the time spent on phone calls for quotes related to insurance package by 6%. And this can be measured usually within a week or a month. So what we're saying here is actually leading indicators can be verified very quickly, in this case, either 1 week or 1 month, while the lagging indicators will probably take 3 months. So now what we can see here is that whilst this is a one-year initiative, and the first one is increase lead generation by 30%, this business outcome is only increase lead generation by 5%. So there will be more outcomes that will contribute to the remaining 25%. So not everything is coming from this. There will be many more outcomes, okay? The same thing for the second one. Sales of insurance package by 2% out of the 15%, which is the total from the initiative, yeah, here. So that's, we're seeing a contribution from our business outcomes toward our initiative that is 12 months. Not everything will come from here. And this outcome might be wrong. It's a hypothesis. We may not achieve, and which after 1 or 2 quarters, maybe, we may need to review if the lagging indicators were correct or not, yeah? So it all depends if our assumptions are correct or not, and we learn from it. So typically, in many organizations, what we usually have is projects, yeah? And projects, project delivery time, imagine 12 months, and delivered by a pool of specialists with the constraints of what projects have, like sequential life cycle, delays, delivery of easy work, sunk costs, because no one wants to stop a project that is that is actually not going to work, and there's lots and lots of milestones. So how do we actually understand what the outcomes are from this project? We need to understand, first of all, we've got, so let's say 5 quarters. Let's find out from this project, what are the main outcomes? And in this case, we figured there are 4 main things that this project is actually going to deliver. And we know very much the risk factor for each one of them, and we know the net present value for each one. So how much each outcome is going to actually deliver. And what we're saying here is that there are things that this project is trying to deliver that are not worth doing. So let's not do them. Let's just focus on the things that the project is trying to deliver. So rather than betting on an entire project that is going to deliver something at the end of 12 months, what we want is actually deliver something every quarter with a very specific net present value. Yeah. So as you can see, there's 1.2 million pounds, 0.7, and those are actually our lagging indicators, and the time criticality as well. Yeah. Again, these are the advantages that you get once you move from a project into a product based on outcomes. I'm not going to actually read them because we are a little bit slow. So I'm just continuing. What are the drivers for an outcome-based lean portfolio? What is it that we get out of having outcomes and linking those outcomes to the strategy? So some of the questions the CEO asks many times is, are we actually working on the right things? When is my strategy going to be delivered? The CEO asks this question. Do we have a standard view of the entire change portfolio? Do our teams understand our strategy? How do we align strategy to execution? And how do we know what our teams are working on? And again, from an employee point of view, do our teams know that our work is actually contributing to the organization strategy? So do I know what my story that I'm working on this sprint is contributing to the strategy or not? How can I know that? So here is like a requirement to link the work that the teams are doing towards the strategy. So link strategy to execution, top down and bottom up as well. So bottom up from an employee point of view, top down from a CEO and senior leadership point of view. And what we're trying to recommend is when you've got multi-year large programs of change, those things need to be delivered in many different levels of portfolio items. So all we've got is a multi-year strategic theme to start with. Well, on both of that, of course, you've got the vision of the company, but the strategic theme are typically like 3 to 5 years things that we want to deliver. okay, large things, like for example, reduction of carbon monoxide or whatever, carbon footprint. Um, and that gets delivered by a number of organization outcomes. And what we recommend is that each organization outcome to be 3 years or less. And then each organization outcome delivered by a number of initiatives of 12 months or less. And each initiative delivered by a number of business outcomes of 3 months or less. And of course, the rest you know, because they are features or epics in Jira. Um, we recommend to be less than a month, and each feature will be delivered by a number of stories, sorry, and those will be comprised within the sprint. So what we're seeing is in team items, we've got a feature, we've got a story, we've got the tasks, and those items on the right are the portfolio items. So those are very well understood by the team on the left, and these are understood by portfolio managers. And the relationship is to make sure that there are no orphan items between stories, features to business outcomes to initiatives, and initiatives to organizational outcomes, and then finally to strategic themes. That's how we link the strategy at the top with the work that the teams are doing in terms of every user story that gets delivered. And so a developer might wanting to know, what am I contributing by delivering this story? And the CEO might say, I want to know what teams are working on our highest priority strategic theme, and get a view of that if there is a link. And the trick for doing that is actually agreeing what is timelines are. So initiative 12 months. It could be that your organization chooses something else. Business outcomes quarterly. It could be that the organization chooses something else. So but the process is basically this. Yeah. In here we get alignment and transparency, and here we get feedback loops from the teams. And here, at the top level, we see the benefits realization happening every quarter. So as you see, here is just like a little bit specific to a number of features contribute to a business outcome. Each business outcome contributes to initiative. Each initiative contributes to organizational outcome. Each organizational outcome contributes to a strategic theme. And having in mind the leading and lagging indicators and the changes that we've seen. So in vertical here, what we see is initiatives and longer portfolio items. In horizontal is something that we've not seen yet, which is our long-lived products with long-lived teams. And of course, the intersection between the horizontals and the verticals are our business outcomes. So I'm not going to read that text because it's quite a lot, but what you see is on horizontals, our long-lived product teams, and the verticals, the large delivery initiatives or strategic themes, and the intersection is our business outcomes. So this is how we see, what's the contribution of direct selling towards delivery renewals program? Well, this business outcome in quarter 2, and that's it really. And then what's the contribution to customer experience team towards the same outcome? We've got one business outcome in quarter 1 and one business outcome in quarter 2. So it's kind of a mapping and shows very clearly what the teams are working on and towards what business outcome. And the CEO can see, okay, I see what each team is doing on a quarterly basis. So quarter 1, quarter 2, and quarter 3, quarter 4, of course, as well. I'll skip this one. Again, we've got a different view here, different services. And there are a few rules that are important. No orphans. So that means that a story needs to have a parent, which is a feature. A feature needs to have a parent, which is a business outcome. A business outcome needs to have a parent, which is an initiative, which is this 12 months. And an initiative needs to have a parent, which is an organizational outcome, which is 3 years. And an organizational outcome needs to have a parent, which is a strategic theme. We like this small rule, so start small, rule of 1, experiment with one team at a time in order to adopt this type of working, one location, one production. And we focus on flow, so we start measuring, what's the lead time of our business outcomes? Is it less than 3 months or is it more? Typically, usually it starts by being more. Teams get better by trying to deliver every 3 months and sticking to the scope of that business outcome. What we see here is actually so a rolling wave planning. So it shows for each organization what are the business outcomes in flight. So this is actually done, this is to do, and what's our confidence. So we're working on, imagine we are in Q1 at the moment, we've got high confidence about the things that are delivering and low confidence on the things that are coming next time, 2 or 3 quarters ahead. They're not well defined yet, and we are learning with every quarter if we are going to deliver towards our initiative, our lagging indicators or not, and we are adjusting our lagging indicators accordingly. And this is the last slide. So different types of different formats for learning loops. So we've got multi-year at the top, daily with our stand-ups and our coordination efforts, planning retrospectives, weekly, monthly, show and tells and conferences, and then quarterly is our OKRs. And of course, yearly is our organizational outcomes with lagging indicators, and multi-year, our top level strategic themes. Sorry, we ran a little bit out of time, but if there are any more questions.
Actually, we don't have time for questions because we have less than a minute left. We're going to be closing, but I did put Paulo's LinkedIn in the chat, so you can reach out to him. Just a notice for you, if you don't already know, the Best Agile Articles book 2019 has been released, and you can get it at this location for free. I will go ahead and drop that in the chat box for everybody. And let me just move you out of the way here. Okay. So here's the link. You can get that for free on the Tandem Coaching site. And then we also have a Best Agile Articles conference coming up on September 28th. It's a one-day conference with authors who have been featured in the book in the previous year. And it's only $25. So I just put a separate link there. If you're interested in joining us for that conference, we would love to have you. And thanks for joining us in our meetup today. We'll be coming back in 2 weeks with Antoinette Kazi, who is going to be our presenter. And let me grab her topic real quick. Sorry, I forgot to look at, remind myself what it was. It is I don't have her topic in front of me, but it is on the site. So sorry about that. I didn't update her frame. So looking forward to seeing you then, and have a great weekend.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.